Hi guys, welcome to the next video of the SOAP tutorial series. In the last video we talked about the different components of the SOAP web service. We also talked about the SOAP message in summary. In this video we will go ahead and look at the SOAP message in more detail. We will try to understand its structure and we will discuss on what all elements and attributes it comprises of. I'll show you a sample SOAP message containing those elements and attributes. Now first try to understand what is a SOAP message. Now a SOAP message is a one-way message. It could be a request from a client or a response from a server. And the main thing about the SOAP is that it is in XML format. So a SOAP message is a well-formed XML document and its structure is standardized in the SOAP JAX-WS specification. Now when I am saying structure, it means the elements and the attributes of the XML document or the SOAP message is standardized. So in total we can say that a SOAP message is a standardized XML document representing either a request from a client or a response from a server. Now one more thing to note about the SOAP message is that most of the cases they are auto-generated. We will basically call some method of a SOAP web service class on a remote server, and the SOAP messages will be generated for the request and for the response as a result of that call. Okay, let's see a sample SOAP message as how it looks like. I've already kept one sample SOAP message in my Eclipse. Okay, so this is a sample SOAP message. Now if you see the first line, it has a namespace declared for the SOAP elements. Now this namespace points to an XSD using which this XML will be validated. Now different SOAP implementations has different location for the actual XSD. Now we can even access the XSD using the URL of the namespace from the web. Now one more thing to note is that this namespace may differ for SOAP 1.1 to SOAP 1.2, and there are different namespaces for the SOAP 1.1 and SOAP 1.2. Now if we access this namespace URL, we will be able to see which version of the SOAP this namespace is following on. Let's check this. Let's paste this URL in the browser. Okay, here you can see that the SOAP version is 1.2. So this namespace belongs to SOAP 1.2 version. Let's go back to our sample SOAP message. Now here one more thing to notice is that this URL is actually taking us to the XSD. This is nothing but an XSD for the SOAP messages and SOAP elements. So the logic is that if the XSD is not found in the local, then in that case the web version of the XSD will be accessed. Now the next thing in the SOAP message is the SOAP envelope. Now this is the root element of our SOAP message. Now each and every SOAP message, whether it is a SOAP request or SOAP response, or it might be a SOAP fault, it starts with a SOAP envelope as the root node. Now we'll talk about the SOAP fault in some subsequent video. Now inside this envelope we can have header, this SOAP header. Now this header element is actually optional. Now if we need to provide some information regarding how the actual payload or the actual message should be processed, like if the server needs some authentication details about the message before it's processed, in that case the authentication details can be passed in this SOAP header. Now we can have only one header element inside the SOAP element, but the header element itself can contain many elements inside it, and each of these elements inside the header are called as header block. Now the only restriction in this header element is that the header should contain a well-formed XML document here. Now when a SOAP message is sent from one application to another, the recipient must understand how to process the message, and if the recipient is not able to understand the header elements, then they must reject the message. Now it's the header elements which contain the processing information about the payload. So if a recipient does not know how to deal with the particular header block, in that case the message should not be processed and the recipient must reject the message. But guess what? The recipient does not behave that way. Even if it is not able to understand the header block, it will try to process the message. Now we can enforce this kind of requirement by setting a must understand attribute like this to our header block. This is one header block, this is another header block. So for this header block we're trying to say that this should be must understood. Now if this flag is present and the recipient does not understand the block to which it is attached, the recipient must reject the entire message. Now in our sample SOAP message here, the transaction element contains this must understand equals to true flag, because this flag is set regardless of whether or not the recipient understands and is capable of processing the purchase order message body. If it does not understand how to deal with this transaction element, then the entire message must be rejected. Now this guarantees that the recipient understands the transactions. So this was the significance of the must understand attribute. Now let's discuss one more attribute of the header block, and that is an actor attribute. If you see, a SOAP message is fundamentally a one-way transmission from a client to a server, and there are chances that the message would be passed through various endpoints or nodes, and they will be accepted by those nodes, and those nodes will do some processing of those messages. Now these SOAP endpoints, intermediate endpoints, are web services specially designed to sit between a service consumer and a service provider, and they do some processing before it reaches to the final destination or the server. Now this set of intermediate nodes through which the message travels or passes is called the message path. The entire set of intermediate nodes is called a message path, and every intermediate node along that path is known as the actor. Now the idea is that not all the parts of a SOAP message is intended for the final endpoint. It could be possible that few header blocks are intended for one or more intermediate endpoints, I mean the actors. Now the SOAP specification provides a mechanism of identifying which parts of the SOAP message are intended for processing by some specific actors in its message path, and this mechanism can only be used with the header blocks. So header block is targeted to a specific actor through its actor attribute. Now value of this actor attribute could be the URL of the intermediate node. Now suppose for our purchase order service we have one actor which does the verification of the digital signature present in the SOAP header. So we can add one header block which will contain the digital signature, and then we can point to the signature verifier service using the actor attribute. Then this header will be processed by the signature verifier actor or the intermediate node, and after the verification is successful, it routes the message to the final destination. Now as you can see in our example SOAP message, we have this signature header element and its actor is the signature verifier service. So it tells the SOAP implementation that this signature header should be targeted to the signature verifier actor. Okay, this was the significance of the actor attribute of the header block. Now we have basically covered the SOAP header element and its possible child elements and their attributes. Now the next thing is the SOAP body, which is inside the SOAP envelope, and it actually contains the actual payload or the message to be transmitted. Now it is the required element inside the SOAP envelope. So SOAP envelope must have the body element inside it. Again, the only requirement for the SOAP body is that there should be well formed XML document. So if you see the sample SOAP message, the entire purchase order forms the body of the message. Now there is one more attribute in the SOAP message, and that is known as the encoding style attribute. Now the encoding style attribute is used to define the data types that can be used in the document for the elements and its child elements. Now this attribute may appear on any SOAP element, and it will apply to that element's contents and all of its child elements. The value of this attribute contains a URI which takes us to a document which contains all the data types supported for those particular elements. So we can use only the data types that are mentioned in that document for the XML set in our SOAP message that has declared the encoding style attribute. So our purchase order element has declared this encoded style attribute, so all of its child elements can use the data types present in the document pointed to by the URL here. Now you can see we have declared person as a string type while we have declared quantity as an integer type, and these types are actually declared in the SOAP encoding URL document which we are pointing here. Okay, so we have almost covered most of the concept related to a SOAP message. I hope it was helpful. We will learn some more stuff of the SOAP web services in the next video. Thanks for watching.